It's very important. Do not overheat this edge, or you'll lose that great temper. Okay, so I've switched from the 50 grit to an 80 grit, and I'll just keep working it down because the smallest sanding belt you can get for a belt sander like this is 120. So I'll work it down to that, and then I'm gonna buff it with the 220 sanding wheel on the 1/2 inch or 4-inch grinder, and then we'll see how much further we have to go with sharpening, and then I'll buff it with simple buffing wheels on a drill, similar to this. So, we'll get to it. It's always good to have some water too to help keep the blade cool. Okay, so now I've got the sanding wheel on here, and all I'm doing is I'm using it to run along the edge because the belt sander gets too crazy. It'll go off on you all over the place. So I'm using this because I can control it a little bit more to put a bare edge on here that won't be sharp per se. I'll sharpen everything down to its final sharpness with hand tools, but just get all this cleaned up, looking nice to where I can get it polished, and that's what I'm going to do with this. Okay. So that's about good. Now what I need to do is buff this whole thing. And I'll start out with an emery buffing compound, and then I'll go to a white rouge, and then I go to a jeweler's rouge because I was goofy enough to buy jeweler's rouge instead of green rouge. Jeweler's rouge is the finest non-ferrous metal polish. So like for gold or silver, anything that doesn't have iron in it. So when I run out of that, I'll have to get green rouge, but it works pretty well. I'll just have to make sure this cools down a little bit too. I've gotten decent edge on there. It's not sharp, but it will be. I'll do all that by hand on a stone. Okay, I'll get set up. Be right back with. Okay, I use a DeWalt cordless drill for buffing, and I always make sure that my turn is going, so I'm turning away from the edge. That'll help keep it from getting stuck, and it'll help roll if there's a burr on there that you're trying to clean up and make sharp. It'll roll the burr out and away and make it into an edge. So let me see if I can spread the camera lens full of emery. So the next part that we need to do, I've got this sharpened. That I just did on some cheap old diamond files and a carborundum stone. If there's interest in how I sharpen or how to sharpen, leave it in the comments box. I will get to it in a different video because it's very simple. But our next job to make the knife proper is to try getting our handles as flat as it can, or rather the tang here to where the handle scales will fit over flat and have very little wiggle room. See, this side has a bunch of wiggle room. So all I'm going to do for that is I'm going to take belt sander, pull out this one, and go back to my 50 grit, because this will also rough up the steel and make it more ready to be glued on. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it down where it should be, figure out where the angle is that I need to grind on, and lift it up a tad, keeping that angle. And then just keep grinding until I have straight patterns the entire length, because that will give me a flat section. See, I'm almost there anyways. And now you just take one of your handle scales, very little wiggle. So that's where we want it. The other side was pretty good. There's no wiggle on that side. Now that side's done. All we got to do is pull it off. I'm going to still switch it around, and even though this side is flat, I'm going to hit it with the grinder just to make sure that we can get a solid glue bond on here. Scrape around a little bit and rough it up. Okay. Now, the thing we gotta do is to get the handle scales ready to be glued on here. And now, since I'm going to do it with a hand drill, I'm going to try a different method that I think will work pretty well. Let's see if I'm still recording. Yes, I am. Using a hand camera is not the greatest thing to film with, but it's what I got. So, for doing it won't bend that way. Just a moment. Sorry about that. Okay. For putting handle scales on, all I need to do is rough up this one side, and then I'm going to glue it on, and I'm not going to drill holes for the pins. Why that is because then, once it's glued on, I will have it attached to the handle, and I can drill the 3 holes that I need to drill right in here at a fairly direct, even drill angle rather. And then I glue the other one on, then I'll bore back out these holes and go through here, and then it'll come out in a straight line into the other one. So instead of trying to drill both of them out here and get your pin angle going in wonky, it'll be straight with the tang. So all I'm going to do is rough up 2 sides of these, and then I'm going to glue them on using just regular old Gorilla Epoxy, 2-part epoxy. So I'll glue one side on, let it dry, and then I'll get back to you.